deliver everything from beer to furniture, but also decorate the hell out of your truck, earn the respect of other truckers, and do all that while listening to some classic Japanese enka songs. It doesn't get any better than this. Bakusou Dekotora Densetsu 2 was released in 1999 for the PlayStation. While intimidating, the name translates to something like Legend of the Roaring Decorated Trucks, or something like that, and that's exactly the point of this game. You work as a trucker, delivering whatever you have to, while making sure you have the most stylish truck around. And all that in that spirit of street racing where you have to earn the respect of other truckers. This is the kind of game that it's just so manly that it will make you grow a full beard when you play it, every single damn time, even if you're a woman. But here, it's better if you just see for yourself. Just listen to the intro.
Bakusou Dekotora Densetsu 2男人生夢一路
While this game has a story mode, it's all in Japanese, and it's nothing too special to be honest. It's very dialogue heavy and the races take a lot of time to happen, so the real fun is in the career mode. You don't get to pick which roads you travel in. Instead, you basically travel all around Japan delivering goods from one place to the other. What you get to choose is what kind of cargo you deliver and how much you're willing to carry. The more fragile the cargo, the more careful you need to be while driving. The more you carry, the harder it gets to control the truck and it takes longer to build higher speeds. Choosing to load your truck with the most expensive cargo available is not always the best idea, so choose carefully. Before every race, the other trucker will try to intimidate you with, the usual anime lines like "Let's do it, boy," or "I'll show you how it's done," or something in that style. But then, the fun begins. You have 2 or 3 lanes to work with. You can see a mini-map on the left, and on the top right you can see how far you are to the goal. On the bottom right, you have several things to pay attention to. The boxes on the bottom show the condition of the cargo. Usually, the more expensive it is, the more fragile it is. That fire above the boxes is called something like the man's spirit of the pedal, or something like that, but in the end it's just a boost gauge. The S in the center of the speedometer is extremely important. It shows you how much draft you have. So drafting is the key to winning the races in this game. The higher the draft, the more it will light up. As expected, the nearer you get to the other cars and the bigger they are, the higher the drafting will be. Other truckers will also try to ride on your draft, and will always change lanes when you try to do the same thing to them. Above it, you have the air brakes indicator on the center. To choose whether to use air brakes or not, it's really up to you. Give them both a try and see whatever works the best for you. Then on the side of the air brake marker are the left and right signal lights. Listen, you might be racing other people with an overly decorated truck while carrying crabs, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't use your signal lights. You're no animal, are you? So they work like this. You press left or right once, and the left or right signal light will light up. If you press it again, you change lanes. If you press it twice, you jump 2 lanes to that side. The other cars and the enemy drivers will react to the signal lights by either blocking your path or making way if you honk your horn. If you manage to win, most of the times the other truckers will become friendly towards you, even if you happen to drive against them later on. You might even up getting some of their parts or paint styles along the way. As you progress, you eventually buy more parts, get bigger trucks, earn the respect and friendship of some of the other truckers, or maybe make enemies with some of them. And all that to the sound of the best Japanese enka songs that only the manliest of the manliest listen to. The bad thing about this game is that the language barrier can be quite discouraging at times. If you are confident enough in your Japanese skills, go for it, but just knowing some basic katakana can go a long way here. But just make sure, let's go through the basics of the game. From the main menu, you have the following options. First is the career mode, where all the fun is at. Second is the dialogue-heavy story mode. The third and fourth options are two-player modes where you can each one load your own trucks and race each other. And lastly, the option menu and the memory card settings. In the options, the only things worth mentioning are the volume controls for the game, music and sound effects, and the controller settings. This option is for the music. You can choose between high, medium, low, and none. And this is for the game audio. So these are the settings I use, high for game music and low for sound effects. Here, press square to change the controller settings. Honestly, there's no need to change any of them, but it's just a good idea to know whatever does what. Circle is to turn the air brakes on and off. X to accelerate. Square for brakes. Triangle for the boost, which is that burning fire we mentioned before. R1 for horn. R2 for your voice, which somehow is more effective than your horn. And the L1 and L2 are used for camera controls. When you begin a new game, you get to choose between cargo and dump styles. Below, you change the model of the truck itself. From what I've seen so far, this is just cosmetic. Then, the color. You can change it later on if you'd like. Here you set up your name. Always pay attention to the bottom of every screen, as it will show whatever controls you have available for that screen in special. And this whole game works like that. And lastly, the name of your truck. Now, you'll be seeing this screen a lot. From here you can choose if you want to ride, buy parts, or visit the garage. So let's go ahead on the first option. So this is the screen where you set up for the next race, although there's not really much to be set up, to be honest. The first option is to choose the music. It gets randomized every time, but you can always set your favorite one. You can press square to preview it. The second option is for your voice. Just like the music, you can press square to listen to a preview. Choose whatever you like the best. They are all lines like, "Out of the way, you idiot!" or "Get out of my face!" or things like that. And you can always change the type of the voice with triangle. Next is the type of cargo you carry. Different types have different prices, and some of them are more delicate than others and can take more or less damage before breaking. Here is how much you want to carry. As mentioned before, the more you carry, the more you earn, but at the same time it gets harder to drive. And if you break a lot of the cargo, you can even end up having to pay back for the damage. Alright, so time to use those katakana skills again. The other options read garage, parts shop, and paint shop. In the paint shop, the first option is to choose where on the truck you'll be changing the art. Only 4 options here: left, right, top, and back. Once you decide on that, below you have the art categories: men's, women's, fairy tales, horror, and so on. Next, the parts shop. There is no easy way to browse this section, but in short, there are several categories like lights, bumpers, decals, and inside each category you have the items themselves, like for example left lights, right lights, back lights, and so on. Luckily, you can rely a lot on what you're seeing to guide yourself. When browsing for different parts, sometimes on some of the items you'll see that on the bottom of the screen the option to press square will show up. When you press it, you get to customize the colors of that part in special. By pressing triangle at almost any time in any of the menus, you turn the lights off, so you get to see how your truck is going to look like at night. After you choose the colors, this last option here is to set up the speed of the lights. Last but not least is the garage. In here you can manage the paint and parts that are already yours. If you got used to the katakana already, you recognize the parts and paint options. Next to it you have two more options which can pretty much be ignored. The first is the art room, where you can go to create your own art styles for the truck. But since the already existing ones are very good, there's no point in doing this. The last option is to change the name of the truck again if you feel like it. So basically ignoring these two options, when in the garage you'll focus on the parts and paint options. But there is also one more difference in special about browsing the parts in your garage instead of browsing the parts on the shop, which are the parts that you got from other truckers. So here on the paint styles menu you get some extra categories when browsing that can be read as get categories. Same things for the parts menu. On the top you can change from the parts you bought to get parts, to browse only among the pieces you got from other drivers. So, this is an odd game for sure. It's not your average racing game, but that's what makes it interesting. The menus might be intimidating at first, but you can get used to them quite quickly. So, pick a truck, decorate the hell out of it, load up some cargo, turn up the volume, and just see where the road takes you.